Strategic Dream: The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Multiplying your success one simple step at a time. Chapter 1: The Compound Effect in Action. You know that expression, slow and steady wins the race? Ever heard the story of the tortoise and the hare? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the tortoise. Give me enough time and I will beat virtually anybody, anytime, in any competition. Why? Not because I'm the best or the smartest or the fastest. I'll win because of the positive habits I've developed and because of the consistency I use in applying those habits. I'm the world's biggest believer in consistency. I'm living proof that it's the ultimate key to success. Yet, it's one of the biggest pitfalls for people struggling to achieve. Most people don't know how to sustain it. I do. I have my father to thank for that. In essence, he was my first coach for igniting the power of the compound effect. My parents divorced when I was 18 months old, and my dad raised me as a single father. He wasn't exactly the soft, nurturing type. He was a formal university football and hardwired me for achievement. Thanks to Dad, wake up calls were at 6 o'clock every morning. Not by a loving tap on the shoulder or even the sound of a radio alarm. No. I was awakened each morning by the repetitious, pile-driving sound of iron pounding on the concrete floor of our garage, situated next to my bedroom. It was like waking up 12 feet from a construction zone. He painted a huge no pain, no gain sign on the wall of the garage, which he stared at while he did countless old school strongman deadlifts, power cleans, lunges, and squats. Rain, sleet, or shine, Dad was out there in his shorts and tattered sweatshirt. He never missed a day. You could set your watch by his routine. I had more chores than a housekeeper and a gardener put together. Upon returning from school, there was always a list of instructions to greet me: pull weeds, rake leaves, sweep the garbage, sweep the garage, dust, vacuum, do the dishes, you name it. And getting behind in school wasn't tolerated. That's just the way it was. Dad was the original no excuses guy. We weren't even allowed to stay home from school sick unless we were actually puking, bleeding, or showing bone. The term showing bone came from the coaching days. His players knew they weren't allowed to come out the game unless they were seriously injured. One time his quarterback asked to be pulled out the game. Dad said, "Not unless you're showing bone." The quarterback pulled back his shoulder pads and sure enough, his collarbone were showing. Only then was he allowed to come off the field. One of Dad's core philosophies was, it doesn't matter how smart you are or aren't. You need to make up in hard work that you lack in experience, skill, intelligence, or innate ability. If your competitor is smarter or more talented or experienced, you just need to work 3 or 4 times as hard. You can still beat them. No matter what the challenge, he taught me to make up in hard work for whatever I might be disadvantaged. Miss free throws at the game, do 1,000 free throws every day for a month. Not good at dribbling with the left hand, tie your right hand behind your back and dribble 3 hours a day. Behind your mat, hunker down, hire a tutor, and work like hell all summer until you get it. No excuses. If you aren't good at something, work harder, work smarter. He walked his talk too. Dad went from being a football coach to a top salesperson. From there, he became the boss and ultimately went on to own his own company. But it wasn't given loads of instructions. From the beginning, Dad let us figure it out. He was all about taking responsibility. He didn't hammer on us every night about homework. We just showed up with the results. And when you did, you were celebrated if we got good grades. That took us to Prinks, an ice cream parlor where you could get these king banana splits, 6 scoops of ice cream, and all the fixings. Many times my siblings didn't fare as well in school, so they didn't get to go. Getting to go was a big deal, so you worked your butt off to win the trip. Dad's discipline served as an example for me. Dad was my idol, and I wanted him to be proud of me. I also lived in fear of disappointing him. One of his philosophies is be the guy who says no. It's no great achievement to go along with the crowd. Be the unusual guy, the extraordinary guy. That's why I never did drugs. He never harped on me about it, but I didn't want to be that guy who just went along because everyone else was doing it. And I didn't want to let that down. Thanks to that, by age 12, I mastered a schedule worthy of the most efficient CEOs. Sometimes I gripped and moaned, I was a kid. But even when I secretly liked knowing that I had an edge over my classmates, that gave me a serious head start on the discipline and mentality it takes to be a dedicated and responsible to achieve whatever I set out to achieve. It's no accident that the Tango of Success magazine is what achievers read. Today, Dad and I joke about what an addictive overachiever he trained me to be. At 18, I was making six-figure income in my own business. By age 20, I owned my home in an upscale neighborhood. By age 24, my income grew to more than 1 million a year. And by the age 27, I was officially a self-made millionaire with a business that brought in more than 50 million in revenue. That just about brings us to the present day because it's not yet 40, but I have enough money and assets to last my family the rest of my life. There are lots of ways to screw up a kid, Dad says. At least my way was pretty good one. You seem to have done pretty well. So while I admit that I had to practice sitting on my hands and being present in the moment, or chilling out peacefully in a beach chair from time to time, without taking a pile of business books or self-improvement CDs with me. I'm grateful for the success skills I learned from my dad and my other mentors along the way. The compound effect reveals the secret behind my success. I'm a true believer in the compound effect because Dad made sure that I lived it each and every day until I couldn't live any other way if I tried. But if you're like most people, you're not a true believer. There are lots of perfectly understandable reasons why. You haven't had the same coaching and example showing you what to do. You haven't experienced the payoff of the compound effect. As a society, we have been deceived. We've been hypnotized by commercial marketing, which convinces you of problems you don't have and sell you on the idea of instant fixes to cure them. We've been socialized to believe in the fairy tales endings found in movies and novels. We lost sight of the good old fashioned value of hard and consistent work. Let's examine these hurdles one by one. You haven't experienced the payoff of the compound effect. The compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. What's most interesting about this process to me is that even though the results are massive, the steps in the moment don't feel significant. Whatever you're using this strategy for improving your health, relationship, finances, or anything else for that matter, the changes are so subtle, they're almost imperceptible. These small changes offer little to no immediate results, no big win, no obvious I told you so payoff. So why bother? Most people get tripped up by the simplicity of the compound effect. For instance, they quit after the 8th day of running because they're still overweight, or they start practicing the piano after 6 months because they haven't mastered anything other than the chopsticks, or they stop making contributions to their IRA after a few years because they could use the cash, and it doesn't seem to be adding up to much anyways. What they don't realize is that these small, seemingly insignificant steps completed consistently over time will create a radical difference. Let me give you a few detailed examples. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals radical difference. The magic penny. If you were given a choice between taking 3 million in cash this very instant and a single penny that doubled in value every day for 31 days, which would you choose? If you heard this before, you know the penny gambit is a choice you should make. You know it's the course that will lead to greater wealth. Yet why is it so hard to believe choosing the penny will result in more money in the end? Because it takes so much longer to see the payoff. Let's take a closer look. Let's say you take the cold hard cash and your friend goes the penny route. On day 5, your friend has 16 cents. You, however, have 3 million. On day 10, it's $5.12 versus your big bucks. How do you think your friend's feeling about her decision? You're spending your millions, enjoying the heck out of it, and loving your choices. After 24 days, the only with only 11 days left, Penny Lane has only 5,243,000. How is she feeling about herself at this point? For all her sacrifice and positive behavior, she has barely have 5,000. You, however, have 3 million. Then the invisible magic of the compound effect starts to become invisible. The same small mathematical growth improvement each day makes the compound penny worth 10,737,418,000 on day 31, more than 3 times your 3 million. In this example, you see why consistency over time is so important. On day 29, you got your 3 million. Penny Lane has around 2.7 million. It isn't until day 30 of the 31 days race that she pulled ahead with 5.3 million. And it isn't until the very last day of the month-long ultra marathon that your friend blows you out of the water. She ends up with 10,737,418 to your 3 million. Very few things are impressive as the magic of compounding pennies. Amazingly, this force is equally powerful in every area of your life. Here's another example. 3 friends. Let's take these 3 buddies who all grew up together. They live in the same neighborhood with very similar sensibilities. Each make around 50,000 a year. They're all married and have average health and body weight, plus a little bit of that dreaded marriage flap. Friend number 1, let's call him Larry, plods along doing as he's always done. He's happy, or so he thinks, but he complains occasionally and nothing ever changes. Friend number 2, Scott, starts making some small, seemingly inconsequential positive changes. He begins reading 10 pages of a good book per day and listening to 30 minutes of something instructional or inspirational on his commute to work. Scott wants to change in his life but doesn't want to make a fuss over it. He recently read on the interview with Dr. Mayhem OC in Success Magazine and chose one idea from the article to implement in his life. He's going to cut 125 calories from his diet every day. No big deal. We're talking maybe a cup of cereal less, trading that can of soda for a bottle of seltzer, switching from mayo to mustard on his sandwich, double. He's also started walking a couple thousand extra steps per day, less than a mile. No grand acts of bravery or effort. Stuff anyone can do. But Scott is determined to stick with these choices, knowing that even though they're simple, he could also easily be tempted to abandon them. Friend number 3, Brad, makes few poor choices. He recently bought a new big screen TV so he can watch more of his favorite programs. He's been trying out the recipes he's seen on Food Channel. The cheesy casseroles and desserts are his favorite. Oh, and he installed a bar in his family room and added 1 alcoholic drink per week to his diet. Nothing crazy. Brad just wants to have a little more fun. At the end of 5 months, no perceivable difference exists among Larry, Scott, or Brad. Scott continues to read a little bit every night and listen to audios during his commute. Brad is enjoying life and doing less. Larry keeps doing as he has always has. Even though each man has his own pattern of behaviors, 5 months isn't long enough to see any results decline or improvement in their situations. In fact, if you chatter the 3 men weights, you'll see a rounding error of 0. They look exactly equal. At the end of 10 months, we still can't see noticeable changes in any of their lives. It's not until we get to the end of the 18 month and the slightest difference are measurable in these 3 friends' appearances. But about month 25, we start seeing really measurable, visible differences. At month 27, we see an expansive difference. And by month 31, the changes is startling. Brad is now fat while Scott is trim. By simply cutting 125 calories a day, in 31 months, Scott has lost 33 pounds. 31 months equals 940 days. 940 days times 125 calories equals to 117,500 calories saved. 117,500 calories saved times 1 pound to 3,500 calories equals to 33.5 pounds. Brad ate only 125 more calories more a day in that same time frame and gained 33.5 pounds. Now he weighs 67 pounds more than Scott, but the difference are more significant than weight. Scott invested almost 1,000 hours reading good books and listening to self-improvement audios. By putting this newly gained knowledge into practice, he's earned a promotion and raise. Best of all, his marriage is thriving. Brad, he's unhappy at work and his marriage is on the rocks. And Larry is pretty much exactly where he was 2.5 years ago, except now he's a little more bitter about it. The phenomenal power of the compound effect is that simple. The difference between people who employ the compound effect for their benefits compared to their peers who allow the same effect to work against them is almost unconceivable. It looks miraculous, like magic or quantum leaps. After 31 months or 31 years, the person who uses the positive nature of the compound effect appears to be an overnight success. In reality, his or her profound success was the result of small, smart choices completed consistently over time. The ripple effect. The results in the above example seem dramatic, I know, but it goes even deeper than that. The reality is that even one small change can have a significant impact that causes an unexpected and unintended ripple effect. Let's put one bad habit under the microscope. Eating rich food more frequently to better understand how the compound effect can also work in a negative way and can create a ripple effect that impacts your entire life. Brad makes some muffins from a recipe he learned from the Food Channel. He's proud and his family loves it, and it seems to add value all around. He starts making them and other sweets frequently. He loves his own cooking and eats more than he shares, but not so much that anyone notices. However, the extra food makes Brad sluggish at night. He wakes up a little groggy, which makes him cranky. The crankiness and sleep deprivation begins to impact his work performance. He's less productive and as a result gets discouraging feedback from his boss. By the end of the day, he feels dissatisfied with his job and his energy level is weighed down. The commute home seems longer and more stressful than ever. All of this makes him reach for more comfort food. Stress has a way of doing that. The overall lack of energy makes Brad less likely to take walks with his wife like he used to. He just doesn't feel like it. She misses their time together and takes his withdrawal personally. With fewer shared activities with his wife and absence of fresh air and exercise, Brad's not getting the endorphin release that has make him feel upbeat and enthusiastic. Because he's not happy, he starts finding fault with himself and others, and stops complimenting his wife. As his own body starts to feel flabby, he feels less confident, less attractive, and becomes less romantic. Brad doesn't realize how his lack of energy and affection towards his wife affects her. He just knows that he feels funky. He starts losing himself in late night TV because it's easy and distracting. Feeling his distance, Brad's wife starts complaining because then becomes needy. When that doesn't work, she emotionally withdraws to protect herself. She's lonely, she pours her energy into her work and spends more time with her girlfriends to fulfill her companionships. Men start flirting with her, which makes her feel desirable again. She will never cheat on Brad, but he has a feeling something's wrong. Instead of seeing that his poor choices and behaviors are at the root of the problems, he finds fault with his wife. Believing that the other person is wrong rather than looking inside and doing the work necessary to clean up the mess is basic psychology 101 stuff. In Brad's case, he doesn't know how to look inside. They don't offer self improvement or relationship advice on Top Chef or his favorite crime shows. However, the thought may have occurred him that if he read the personal development book his buddy Scott read, he might have learned about ways to change negative habits. Unfortunately for Brad, the small, smart choices he made on a daily basis created a ripple that weakened havoc on every area of his life. Of course, all that calorie counting and intellectual stimulation has had the opposite effect with Scott, who's now reaping the bounty of positive results. Is the simple It's that simple. With enough time and consistency, the outcome become visible. Better yet, they're totally predictable. The beauty of the compound effect is in the simplicity. Notice how on the left side of the diagram the results are intangible, but how powerfully they differ later on. The behaviors all along the way are exactly the same, but the magic of the compound effect eventually kicks in to bring massive differences in results. The compound effect is predictable and measurable. That's great news, isn't it? Comforting to know you only need to take a series of tiny steps consistently over time to radically improve your life. Doesn't that sound easier than mustering up some grand show of bravery and heroic strength only to wear yourself out and have to drum up all that energy again at a later date for another try, which will likely be unsuccessful? I'm exhausted just thinking about it, but that's what people do. We've been conditioned by society to believe in the effectiveness of a great display of massive effort. Heck, it's downright all American. Success, old school. The most challenging aspect of the compound effect is that we have to keep working away for a while, consistently and efficiently, before we can begin to see the payoff. Our grandparents knew this. Throughout, they didn't spend their evenings glued to the TV watching infomercial about how to have thin thighs in 30 days or a real estate kingdom in 6 months. I bet your grandparents worked 6 days a week from sun up to sundown, using the skills they have learned in their youth and repeatedly throughout their entire life. They knew the secret was hard work, discipline, and good habits. It's interesting that wealth tends to skip a generation. Overwhelming abundance often leads to a lackadaisical mentality, which brings about sedentary lifestyle. Children of the wealthy are especially susceptible. They weren't the ones who developed the discipline and character to create the wealth in the first place. So it makes sense that they may not have the same sense of value for wealth or understand what's necessary to keep it. We frequently see this entitlement mentality in children of royalty, movie stars, and corporate executives, and to a lesser degree in children and adults everywhere. As a nation, our entire populace seems to have lost appreciation for the value of a strong work ethic. We had two, if not three, generations of Americans who have known great prosperity, wealth, and ease. Our expectations of what is really takes to create lasting success. Things like grit, hard work, and fortitude aren't allerging, and those have been mostly forgotten. We've lost respect for the strife and struggle of our forefathers. The massive effort they put forth instilled discipline, chiseled the character, and stoked the spirit to brave new frontiers. The truth is complemency. has impacted all great empires, including but not limited to the Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and English. Why? Because nothing feels like success. Once dominant empires have failed, for this very reason, people get to a certain level of success and get too comfortable. Having experienced extended periods of prosperity, health, and wealth, become complacent. We stop doing what we did to get us there. We become like the frog in the boiling water that doesn't jump to his freedom because he's warming up so incremental and insidious that he doesn't notice he's getting cooked. If we want to succeed, we need to recover our grandparents' work ethic. It's time to restore our character. It's not for the sake of saving America, at least for our greater success and achievement. Don't buy into the guinea in a lamp idea. You can sit on your couch waiting to attract checks in your mail, rub crystals together, walk on fire, channel that 2,000-year-old guru, or chant affirmations if you want to, but much of that hocus pocus commercialism manipulating you by appealing to your weaknesses. Real and lasting success requires work and lots of it. I have a quick, real time story to illustrate this nothing feels like success concept. A great new restaurant opened up close to my home on the beach in San Diego. In the beginning, the place was always immaculate. The host was had a big welcoming smile for everyone. The service was impeccable. The manager came over and assured the food was sensational. Soon, the people started lining up to eat, and they would often wait more than an hour to be seated. Then, unfortunately, the restaurant staff began to take its success for granted. The hostess became snotty, the service staff disheveled and curt, and the food quality hit or miss. The place was out of business within 18 months. They failed because of their success, or rather because they stopped doing what made them successful to begin with. Their success clouded their perspective and they slacked off. Microwave mentality. Understanding the compound effect will rid you of instant result expectations. The belief success should be as fast as your fast food, your 1 hour glasses, your 30-minute photo processing, your overnight mail, your microwave eggs, your instant hot water, and text messaging. Enough, okay? Promise yourself that you're going to let once and for all your lottery winner expectations, because let's face it, you only hear stories about the one winners, not the million of losers. The person you see jumping up and down in front of Vegas slot machines or the Santa Anita horse track doesn't reveal the hundred of times the same person lost. If we go back to our mathematical chances of a positive result again, we have rounding error of zero, as in, you have about zero chances of winning. Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert, author of Stumbling on Happiness, says that if we gave lottery losers each 30 seconds on TV to announce not I won but I lost, it would take almost 9 years to get through the losers of a single drawing. When you understand the compound effect works, you won't pine for quick fixes or silver bullets. Don't try to fool yourself into believing that a mega successful athlete didn't live through regular bone crushing drills and thousands of hours of practice. He got up early to practice and kept practicing long after all others had stopped. He faced the sheer agony and frustration of the failure, loneliness, hard work, and disappointment it took to become number one. By the end of this book, or even before, I want you to know in your bones that your only path to success is through continuum of mundane, unsexy, unexciting, and sometimes difficult daily disciplines compounded over time. Know too that the results, the life, and the lifestyle of your dreams can be yours when you put the compound effect to work for you. If you use the principles outlined in the compound effect, you will create your fairy tale's ending. Have I made my point? Good. Join me in the next chapter where you will focus on the one thing that controls your life Every victory or defeat, triumph or failure has started with this. Everything you have or don't have in your life right now has been because of this. Learn to change this and you can change your life. Let's discover what this is. The compound effect is always working. You can choose to make it work for you, or you can ignore it and experience the negative effects of your powerful principle. It doesn't matter where you are on this graph. Starting today, you can decide to make simple, positive changes and allow the compound effect to take you where you want to go. Turning your dream into a strategic dream. Dream big. Peace.